Hello and welcome to the Stateside Soccer Show. My name is Jordan Wiegand, and I am joined by somebody that did not get an invite to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame like Dolly Parton did. Uh, a guy who was air drumming the intro, Logan Stone.
It's so hard on StreamYard not to laugh sometimes just because I'm looking at you and you're so serious, and then I'm just like, it'd be fun. And our song's a jam, so I like to just kind of like rock out by myself sometimes. And I was getting some clapping going. I was doing some drum solos. I just need Rich around to do like the air guitar, and we'd have a
That's
band.
what I was wondering first was the clapping. If you were just like getting yourself hyped for this,
Yeah, that's what I do.
like clapping, or if you're trying to go along with the music, because it looked out of sync on my end here.
Yeah.
So
It just kind of looked like a ghost opened my door because my cat opened the door. He just like nudged it open, and then the door just swung open. But yeah, like I try to get myself hyped for these shows just because sometimes I'm back at school, it's off of spring break, and trying to get myself hyped up because today kind of flattened me. So, how you doing, Jordan? How's your
today
Monday
flew
going?
by for me. This was a day that just flew by, and I'm good. For people that don't know, like on these days we record, it's usually like a mad rush to get home. I get off at 4:45. I left a little later today. Then I'm like, I don't have time to make dinner, so I stop and got Chick-fil-A on the way home. Eat that, then head here, take the dogs out, change, and then it's like, all right, time to do the show. So if it always seems like I come in just thoroughly like not prepared, it's because of that. But yeah, so Logan and I don't talk too much before the show. We do most of our talking after the show, actually. So we kind of come right in like cold. It's like, hey, how you doing? Good. All right, let's get started on the show.
We actually don't even talk. We just kind of like good. Like, yeah, I'm good. Like we don't actually
Yeah,
like each
we're
other.
good.
People always comment on our chemistry whenever we have guests on and stuff, and it's fake.
It's all made up. Yeah,
It
it's
is.
pretty good.
It's WWE ish. Like I would say that it's pretty. It's pretty comparable to that, I guess. But I don't know. Like I just feel like
Dude, that's
people
me
think
fake laughing right now
right.
because we
I
don't
know
have any chemistry.
this is unbelievable. People have now turned off the podcast 3 minutes and they're like, "This is awful." Like, what do they do for a living?
Anything soccer related yet?
Jordan, what do you do for a living?
See, when I was 10 years old, I always wanted to be a ball player, but that's not what I do currently. But no, we are here to talk. We actually got a big show for you, so we got to stop wasting time. We've got week 3, right? What is this? Week 3 or 4?
Week 3.
Week 4.
4.
I put week 3. Oh well.
Yeah,
Week
you
4
threw me off, man.
Of MLS action here in the 2022 season. We got US Open Cup schedule we want to talk about, and then we got the roster and some updates to that roster for the U.S. men's national team as they will be playing their games starting Thursday, right? Against Mexico. Mm-hmm. Before we get into the main show, though, Logan, how confident are you on a scale of, let's say, 1 to 100 that the U.S. men's team are going to qualify? 100 meaning they 100% will, 1% chance. Your 1 rating would be that you don't think that they will. What is your rating right now?
Oh, I'm gonna go 90, just because we do have a lot of points. I do feel comfortable where we are in the table. I think. I mean, I don't know when that 4th playoff game would be played because that could be
June.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean that's kind of come into play now just because of the injuries that we've had. Matt Turner being down, Brendan McKinney. Yeah, Brendan McKinney. Both of them out. Weston out. Brendan out. Who am I missing? Somebody? I feel like I'm missing other people. I just feel like we're just like laundry list.
Well,
of
Brooks
injuries.
not called in, right? I mean, we got Josh, some problems there.
Yeah, Josh
Sargent not called in.
People thought was gonna get called in, but then I think he turns around and makes some pretty good choices. But I guess we'll get to that when we get to it. But yeah, I mean, I feel 90% chance that they'll qualify, and I do think, what's interesting. I think that I think the game in Mexico will be a lot closer than I think people want to give us credit for. I don't think he'll play a full blown lineup that you would normally see from Greg. I think you'll see much more of a conservative. I could see them trying to play for a point. Um, but I don't know. It'll be interesting, but I'm about 90% confident in the team. And I think just because they missed out last year, I think it's going to get a little better this year. But what about you? Where are you feeling?
I'm probably at a 75.
Yeah. It's kind of sad.
I'm at like a 70. Look, so before all the injuries and stuff, I was still probably at like an 80, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I mean, the McKennie one was known for a while.
Yeah.
But, adding the injury to Brendan on it is tough. And yeah, I just feel like almost a repeat of 2017 right now, which is not what I want to have. I think, I don't know. I'm just not very confident. And I kind of go through these stretches at times. I've been in these stretches before, but usually then the results make me think, okay, well, we're getting results. It's whatever. We'll be fine. We have games left. We have 3 games left, right, at this point. And 2 of them are really hard games. And it's getting to the point where I'm getting worried. And I feel like even if, look, nobody's qualified right now in our CONCACAF region. But I feel like if I just feel like no matter how we were doing right now, if we hadn't mathematically locked it up, I'd probably be feeling the same way. It's just almost like I kind of get this way with my teams where I'm really confident leading up to right before the game. And in this case, we have to quantify it's not just one game we're building up to. So almost thinking like the rest of the qualifying was like the build up to this moment, like for a football game, for like the Ravens or whatever, it'd be like, we make the playoffs and the build up to Sunday or whatever, I'm like, we got this. And then Sunday morning I wake up and think, oh my God, we don't got this. In this relation, the week building up to it is all those other windows, right? Where I'm thinking, we got this. And then today is the Sunday morning where I wake up and say, I don't know if we got this. And I'm not sure any other manager matters at this point either. I do think I would feel this way anyway, so I don't want to say like this is a Greg thing. I think it's just the nerves. I think it's the nerves of the we cannot miss another one type of feeling. And then the fact that the injuries are happening, you're sitting there thinking we're not even going to have our full squad, which we've talked about throughout the whole year, right? That you're never going to have that full squad. That's why you need deep squad. But I think it would sting if we don't qualify and John Brooks is sitting in Germany right now because he is back in form, so we can't even use the form excuse anymore. I was for benching him originally when he had the bad form, but now he's been playing better. I don't get it, right? Like there's things that worry me, which sometimes comes down to the coaching, but just overall, just the state of the program, the injuries, the players that were called in, the 3 matchups we have. It just seems like when a snowball starts at the top of a mountain and it's really small, but as it's rolling downhill, it's picking up more and more snow as it's coming down. That's what it feels like. Like at the top, like we're in 2nd or 3rd place of the qualifying. We're fine. And then there's a Weston McKennie injury. John Brooks seems to be out on this team. There's a Brendan Aronson injury. We had all of our goalkeepers injured at one point, but now it seems like Stefan's back. But I feel like a lot of people are pushing for Horvath because of Stefan's form. So, like, it just seems like this buildup of this huge snowball that's now just going to come and wreck us. And I'm hoping that's not the case because I know I'm usually known as like Mr. Positive for this kind of stuff. I think. But it's just like pit of the feeling because 2017 scarred me so much that I'm really, really worried.
It'd be a disaster. I mean, for this program, for
It
the
would,
youth.
yeah.
And one, I would hate to have to listen to U.S. men's national team Twitter for the next 4 months or 4 years. It'd just be brutal.
Longer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Longer
Right.
because we wouldn't qualify next time. So
right.
People wouldn't even see that as legitimate, right? Like, could you imagine if we? Okay, here's a story for you. Let's say we don't qualify this time, and we get to 2026. Greg's not there, right? Because he's not going to make it. Look, here's the reality: he's not going to be the coach of this team if we don't qualify.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope it should be, right?
Right.
So we don't qualify. We get to 2026 where there's no qualification. We have a different manager. Probably not Jesse Marsh because he seems to be like if he's still at Leeds or doing well and keep climbing, I don't think he's going to take the instability of a national team job. But let's say we don't have a good showing in 2026, right? We don't get out of the group. No matter who we draw in the group. Let's say we don't make it through the group. People will then doubt this program fairly, I would say, every time. So you'd have an even bigger gap. So let's say you don't do well in 2026, then we start qualifying for, I guess, 2028 if they do every 2 years. Then you have to worry about, but then they're expanding how many teams are in it. So we might make it anyway, right? But even then, even with the bigger number, I feel like people would still have that fear of, oh, we're not going to make it, and it would just be doubting this each step of the way. So you have to make it this time. I think you have to at least make it out of your group in 2026, no matter who's in it, to really make people think, okay, we're on the right path. I know because everybody wants a deep run in 2026, which I don't even think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's possible, right? But that's still up in the air. Are we going to change managers after one cycle like some teams do? Or are we going to continue giving Greg the keys and we don't look good or something? Or maybe we do look good. I don't know. I mean, it's that's a discussion for another time, but hopefully not one we have to have after this window.
So should we just go through like the standings and stuff or?
Yeah. Well,
the roster
for US men's, yeah. Let's just do all that stuff now. Yeah.
All right. So
do you have the roster up?
Yeah, I have the standings up, and then if you want to pull up the roster, we can go through the roster. But Canada first, they've got 25 points, 4 points clear of the U.S., who's in second place, took 21 points. Mexico 21 points. Panama at 17 points. Costa Rica at 16 points. And I think the truck stops there. I'm not really sure anything else can happen from those other teams that are below, but in order, El Salvador, Jamaica, Honduras, 9-7-3. So looks like the top four is just going to be, I mean, it would take enormous landslides from a couple of those teams for Costa Rica to kind of bump their way back into it. But the fact that Panama is playing so well, I still regret not jumping on the tickets as early as I could have for the Panama game here in Orlando. But I don't know. Those are the standings as they currently sit. So, again, there's some bright spots there. I mean, we're 4 points clear of Panama. I will say Panama does have a bit of a tougher schedule as well. They have to play Honduras, who Honduras typically plays a rough little game. I'm not sure if they can hold off Panama. It would be great if they could share a point because that would really solidify, I think, the U.S. feeling confident if they put them up 5 before we get to see them. But then they come to us, and then they have to go back home where they're going to play Canada, who could very well have it all sewn up. I'm kind of hoping Canada doesn't really have a good window, so they have to actually play in that last game. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it would be nice if somebody was chasing them down just to kind of throw a little bit of doubt into their head. But at that point, they might not be playing for much.
Okay, so the roster here. I think, did we mention it on here? No, it was right after we were done recording
Yeah.
the pod is what it was. Okay. Ethan Horvath, Sean Johnson, Zach Steffen are your goalkeepers. Defenders are Reggie Cannon. Dest was called in, but George Bello is replacing him due to injury. Aaron Long, Eric Palmer Brown, Anthony Robinson, Miles Robinson, James Sands, DeAndre Yedlin, Walker Zimmerman. Midfielders, Kellen Acosta, Tyler Adams, Gianluca Busio, Luca Della Torre, Yunus Musa, Christian Roldan. Forwards, Brendan Aronson is going to miss time. He was called in, and from what I just saw, Greg doesn't know if he's calling somebody in. And that is bull. Anytime we have these injuries, call somebody in. It's still Monday. The game's Thursday. You have time to get somebody in here. We know that like Josh Sargent is on the provisionary roster. Just like call somebody in. Paul Areola, Jesus Ferreira, Jordan Morris, Jordan Pifak, Ricardo Pepe, Pulisic, Reyna, Timothy Weah. So any concerns or anything that you have here with the roster?
I guess I'll give some people some positives to kind of look out for. Yeah, Kellen Acosta was playing really well out of the last international break, and has been playing well for LAFC. So that could be huge if he can kind of step into some of that role that Weston's going to leave a hole with. Luca Della Torre had a really good window as well last time, so that's kind of exciting. Christian Roldan is probably in the best form of the whole group in MLS, which is wild to say, but he's played extremely well with the Sounders. So those are three spotlights. And also, Jordan, I think what people I guess because he hasn't played in a while and he really, really was awful last year, but now he's kind of stepped back into form a little bit. Gio Reyna had looked good when he came back for Dortmund. I mean, he had been pretty reliant, and I think he actually did he score or assist a goal recently? I feel like he had played really well in his in games back that he's been back. So I don't know. I think that's a big X factor. Like if he can step back in and give you really crucial minutes, and if Jesus Ferreira can play like he did the other day, I mean, I do feel like the U.S. is much better off than what it sounds like. It does sound like doom or gloom. You also have to remember, though, that Brendan was really just starting to get into those starting roles with Greg. And Matt Turner, this is what we always talk about. Matt Turner and Steffen are pretty equal in different things that they can kind of contribute. And Turner hadn't been in real good form coming out of the last break. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how those guys step up. But Pifak's in great form. Pifak's probably in the best form he's ever been in his life with young boys. So, I don't know. A lot of positives to take out of this. And I do feel like our defense is just always going to be pretty solid with Miles Robinson and Walker, just because I think those are pretty big, solid backs.
The only bad thing is Miles is in like the worst form of his
That's true.
Right
yeah. Yeah. But it helps to have Tyler in front of you, I guess. I mean,
this was John Brooks' statement that Derek Ray shared on Twitter months ago. I accepted responsibility for my play and the decision that kept me off a roster. Now I'm happy I've regained my form, but unfortunately I wasn't invited to camp. I accept this as the coach's decision, but I won't accept that I can't change this before the final World Cup roster selection. There should be no questions about my desire to play for this team. My plan is to fight as hard as I can to make it back. My American identity is at stake, an identity some have questioned over many years. We have all been down and out different times, but we always fight back, and I plan to do the same. It's a good statement. I like it. So the games are Thursday, 10 p.m. Mexico versus USA. Sunday, the 27th, USA versus Panama at 7 o'clock. Costa Rica versus USA, Wednesday, March 30th, 9:05 to end the qualifying round. So we'll see. Wild. It is wild. I remember us sitting here, probably a year ago looking at, man, when does qualifying even start? And then like looking over the dates and looking at that March date and being like, wow, that's so far away. No, it's right here now. It's terrifying.
Horrifying. This is my first qualifying. This is awful. This is horrible.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I've just watched World Cup. Like when they get in the World Cup, I asked you last time, why isn't the US in the World Cup, and you're just like, it's embarrassing what's happening. And we're on the precipice of another World Cup appearance, but we're also sitting, and I feel like it's natural. Like for you especially, I feel like I did feel like your number was going to be lower than mine, just because you guys got to experience that. As a newbie, I'm kind of like, oh, everything's fine. The world's not burning. I'm sure everything will be great. I think, gosh, could you imagine the level of boost it would be to knock El Tree for another one and get 3 points at El Tree? I mean, that'd be
It
wild.
would. Yeah, it would be great.
Then, Jordan.
I'm not confident in it.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the scenarios. If we get a point in Mexico, how do you feel?
Better, but like an 80.
Okay. 3 points?
3 points in Mexico?
Yeah.
85?
Really? You wouldn't even go that high? Like this to say,
I'm
oh
not
yeah,
going.
we would qualify. We would just maybe have to play that fourth playoff game against, like, I don't know, like the Hawaiian national team or whatever they are.
It'd be New Zealand, probably.
Yeah, New Zealand. Did you hear what happened with all them? Not to get too far off task, but like a bunch of their teams got COVID stuff, so they're all like pushing games, and they said they might not even have a result by the time June rolls around.
That's crazy.
Because all those regions are
just let us in then. Just
right.
Let us in.
Right.
I don't think I could ever get higher than a 90% right now, and that would be.
We'll qualify, and Jordan will go, I don't know. They might not let us in for some reason.
I don't know. VAR might ruin it somehow. Yeah, I think I would probably not get very high on it until we actually lock it in.
Yeah.
Because, I was very sure in 2017 we were going to make it, and, Kova happened, and we lose. And we had, these projections and stuff where it's like they have a 98% chance to qualify, are all BS. Like, none of that stuff means anything, right? Because we had a 98% chance and we didn't qualify. And it didn't feel like 98% chance, because while you do think like, okay, you just have to win this game or get a point, right? We couldn't do that in Trinidad and Tobago. And that whole game, it felt like a 0% chance we were going to qualify, because we were not. It was frustratingly at times the same way we look now at points where there's no creativity, nothing going forward. And you're like, come on, like, we got to get moving. Like, your state, your life is on the line, to qualify.
No urgency.
Yes. And that's how it kind of feels now. Like, if we come out looking flat against Mexico right now, even if we got 3 points, but we look flat and we just happen to stumble backwards into 3 points, I might feel like 65%, not even 85. I might go down, because I'll be like, we didn't look good. I don't know how we're going to go on the, are we going to lose to Panama at home? Are we going to lose to Costa Rica? Like, that's the kind of things that make it really tough. Yeah. And then the way that the CCL teams are going right now, it's not looking good either. So that's partly playing into it, I think, too. Because you do have people on Twitter that say, oh, USA should be able to win in Mexico anyway. And I'm like, but you see from these club teams we can't. And you also see from, even though the club teams are not representative of everybody that's on the team in the roster, but it's almost like a mentality just in U.S. soccer as a whole that I think detracts from our ability. And all these kids are super young still. And that's the thing too. They're all still young, and they, this is their first time going through it. It's going to be tough. So let's get to some of these MLS games, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay. So we had Cincinnati beat Miami 3-1, and this is a good result for Cincinnati. Puts them right outside a playoff spot, believe it or not. But Matarrita in the 18th minute, Vasquez in the 24th, then Higuain in the 30th, penalty kick. And this is when Logan pretty much texts me and says, $20 they blow this. And I said, I can't even take that bet, because that's probably going to happen. It wasn't until they scored their third one in the 82nd minute, another one by Vasquez, I said, I'll take the bet.
So Jordan's $20 richer.
No, he never paid up.
He's a cheapskate.
I wasn't expecting him to. I was a joke. 49.5% possession for Cincy, 50.5% for Miami, 15 shots for Cincy to 13 for Miami. And Cincy had 6 shots on goal, the Miami's 2. So it doesn't seem like, Logan, that Phil Neville's goal to not give up goals is working all that well right now.
Yeah, it makes you really wonder.
Giving up 3 to Cincy is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this with Alex to preview the season. Like, it really, and she was much more lenient. And I always feel like the beat writers are much more like that. People that cover the teams are less likely going to come out and say, "Oh yeah, they're done. They're going to get canned." I feel like Jordan. I mean, I know he's Becco's best buddy, but I mean, at what point do you look at him and say, and I know they blew up the roster, but at what point do you look at that team and go, I mean, you're getting trounced by a team that is not very good in Cincinnati. Like, where is the breaking point for Phil Neville? Like, I just don't know where it is. The breaking point has to be soon, and I feel like
breaking point is wooden spoon this year. If they get the wooden this year, which right now they're kind of in line for, I think that you can't give them the benefit of the doubt at that point. Look, I mean, I was kind of higher on Phil Neville at the end of last season going into this season. I thought they started playing better. You know, at one point they were the best team in the East. But it kind of backfired when... And here's the thing, too. I don't know how much you can put on him as much anyway, because they really just blew up this whole roster.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think they should still be doing better than they are, but it's a tough thing. Beckham said he wants to be more involved in the club. I don't know if that's good or bad, but if he's not going to stand for this, then it could be good, right? I mean, he could let his friend go, but I think it's going to be tough because I think a part of him might look at it as well and say, well, you know, this is like almost like to hit the reset of we're back to year 1 this year. And maybe he gets some more time.
Yeah. And they had an underperforming team. I think if you
finish wooden spoon, it has to be over. Yeah. Right? Start over again.
Bring in the next
Miami's just going to be restarting every year.
If we keep restarting, we can't be under the spotlight for being bad.
Yeah, they sit in 14th place with 1 point, -8 goal differential. So again, the goals are not coming. I mean they are coming. They're going past the goalkeeper. I mean, like, they're not, but they're also not scoring. They've had 2 goals. They've had 2 goals. One of them was this game. One of them was probably in their draw. I don't remember the other game. Okay, so we had NYCFC at Yankee Stadium, Philadelphia, 2-0, Bedoya in the 12th minute, as I called that. But I said he was going to hit a 2-run shot, so I thought that meant I guess he would have scored another one. He did not, so I got that part wrong. But Gazdag in the 33rd minute. There was some controversy here, I guess. Jack Elliott got a red card that was reversed due to a handball in the buildup of the play, which I thought was rightly called, but people could say that's my bias, I guess. But I felt like that was a sentiment online that I saw anyway, was that they got the call right.
Yeah, it was the right call. Like, it was easily the right call. He uses his arms to put the ball into control and then goes down from there. And it was nice for the ref to kind of pull that back, because at that point, Jordan, I felt like the momentum was shifting heavily towards NYCFC.
Yeah, it would be 1-1 at that point.
Yeah, and I felt like they were starting to get more dangerous attacks, but then it really felt right after that happened that Philly just took control of the game. It was like it sparked a new sparked a new energy in Philly, because that's right after that they go down and score another. So
yep, and then they almost scored another one.
Right,
that was called offside. So yeah, kind of kicked them into gear. Yeah, and that stadium, I told you too, but that stadium is so bad for telling offsides, because the camera angle that they have is really bad. because it's a baseball stadium and not a soccer stadium.
I love the tweet. I don't know whose tweet it was, but I think you retweeted it, and it said, I didn't know if the ref was going over to check VAR or if he was going to go order a lemonade from the lemonade stand."
Yeah, the VAR booth in that thing is so sad. It was literally so sad.
It's like some random guy sitting at a table. It literally looks like that meme of like "Change My Mind" meme, where the guy's sitting on some college campus that looks like a cardboard table, and he's just sitting there. And literally, the guy's just sitting there looking at the VAR or the assistant coming over, and he's like, "All right, well, this is awkward." And it's a small table. Like, man, give him a.
It's a like folding table.
It's the size of their banner, like their championship banner.
Yeah, actually, the sad thing is the banner is smaller still. I mean, I saw screenshots of like pictures taken of where that actually is in the stadium and how far. You cannot read that thing from far away.
No, there was like
that
funny
is so
tweets.
Sad.
I think Philly was the one tweeting it, where they like blew it up and it said Philadelphia is still good or something like that.
It was like Philadelphia to nothing or something.
But can we just talk about the Union, how good their defense is again for like the 96th time?
Sure, I like hearing it.
2 goals given up, Jordan, against pretty good teams that they played so far. I mean, it just seems like Philadelphia has it figured out defensively, and I do feel like it's all. I mean, most of it's just having that solid center back pairing between Glesnes and Jack Elliott, and then you throw in Andre Blake, the best goalkeeper in MLS, and it's like it's so difficult to score. Like, I mean, they were putting a ton of shots on goal to start the game, and I just felt like nothing was ever going to get by him. I mean, they were putting legitimate shots where I think anybody else scores, and it's like, no, he's a wall, like a fortress built. So, I mean, it really is. It just speaks to that. And then the fact that Daniel Gazdag 3 games in a row has scored, it's like, this dude is unreal. I mean, it's starting to get to a point where Philly they're just churning out good team after good team after good team.
Ernst Tanner has been really good at finding just diamonds in the rough that can help build a team. I mean, the Union only had 26% possession to 73.2, but they had 13 shots to NYCFC's 18, so they didn't even lag that much in the shot department with as little possession as they had. They actually edged out the shots on goal 4-3 too.
Yeah, NYCFC is playing at home too. Like, it's just so impressive. It's so hard to win there. Many people have said that go in there and try to play in that match box. It's like it's so difficult to play.
It was our first time winning there.
Yeah.
And it was actually the first time I felt like they looked good playing there. They usually don't look good at Yankee Stadium, which is why I was actually surprised myself when you asked me who was going to win, and I said the Union 2-1. I was close, but
right.
Because it is something that they struggle with there, but for whatever reason, I was feeling pretty good.
Just to throw this stat out there now before we get to the rest of them, the Champions League teams have not been doing well. 2-2 this weekend, 2 losses and 2 draws. This was one of the losses, obviously, but I don't know. They looked a lot sharper than the other 2. Like, I felt like Montreal started to look really good in the first half, but I thought NYCFC played decently well. I just feel like the Union were just the better team.
Toronto got a win against DC at BMO Field. Canoes scoring in the 10th minute to give DC an early lead. Then Pozuelo in the 24th and Osorio in the 53rd. So Bob Bradley getting his win here. The funny thing, this is the first time I've ever seen this because MLSsoccer.com is so specific with the possession, but this was straight up 50-50. And DC actually edged them on shots 12-9. So, but it goes to Toronto 2-1, which, currently puts Toronto with their first win of the season up to 11th place with 4 points and only 2 points out of a playoff spot, which it felt like they needed a win soon, Logan, or else they'd kind of keep falling behind, but it seems like they were able to get it at the right time here against DC.
Yeah, reinforcements can't come soon enough, and I'm not sure that Toronto's going to have enough of them. They just don't look sharp, but I mean, this game they look a little bit better, but again, I still want to. There's a lot to see. Pozuelo played well, and that's key. But Jonathan Osorio played extremely well in this game. So, and I don't know if you saw that second goal, Jordan. It was nuts. He slid in and hit one through. and went rocketing into the goal. It was like, whoa.
No, I didn't think I got to see that one.
Yeah, it was really good. But congrats, Bob.
I did have this game on at first.
Mm-hmm.
What day was it? That was Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh, and I had to go somewhere. Where did I have to go? Anyway, I had to go somewhere, so I left it on the TV, and then I came back, and I think I switched over to LA Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. I went to McDonald's. That's what it was.
Solid.
I didn't have to go, but I went.
Solid.
And that was because of you, Logan. I saw your DoorDash McDonald's bag in that picture you sent, and I was like, well, now I know what I'm getting for dinner.
And that's funny because that was before that, because I know I ordered it because Ashley had a rough go on Friday, so she had to have McDonald's early on Saturday morning, and it was a great day for me. Like she was like stuck to the couch because she had too much fun at a wedding.
Oh, so she was on the couch too. So she like sit there and watch it with you, or
she was just sleeping, like mostly sleeping through it. Every once in a while, she'd like wake up and kind of watch. She watched some of the Orlando game, but
well, yeah, it's her club, right?
Yeah, it's her big fan. She really likes all the guys.
To a game, right?
Yeah, she has. Yeah, she watched a lot of it.
Yeah. Who was the guy that she liked?
She liked Kyle Smith. It's kind of
odd, that's right.
Yeah, it's like kind of an odd one, but
yeah,
I'd have gone more for like Mauricio Pereira or somebody. Like
I used to get out like when Joy would watch baseball with me. She always liked Adam Jones and Manny Machado.
Okay.
But I always had to make fun of her for just randomly liking two players on the team that she didn't understand really. She doesn't understand any of the sport, but
she's just picking random dudes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was the facial hair for Adam Jones.
Mm. He's a handsome guy. He's always happy too. He always seemed like
he is. He's always smiling. Manny Machado's like the bad boy type, you know.
Yeah,
so
he
I
is.
think that got her.
Yeah, he's like the wild thing.
Okay. Orlando. Speaking of Orlando, Facundo Torres, right? Scoring in the 9th minute early against LA. And of course, I missed the early goal, and then I had to watch it on a highlight reel afterwards. But I watched the rest of the game, and this was a good result, really good result from Orlando. Really stole this one at Dignity Health Sports Park, or whatever it's called now. 37.2% possession for Orlando to 62 for LA. 20 shots to 6. But with those 20 shots, only 3 on target to Orlando's 2. And there you go. That ends up being all that Orlando needed in a tough gauntlet here for the schedule for Orlando. How much better does this make you feel about this team and how they can do this year with that?
Yeah, I was going to say, coming off an FC Cincinnati loss at home 2-1 was not a really good feeling at all, because they just don't win games, and actually just won their second game. First time since June 2021. I forgot to throw that stat out there.
That they won back-to-back, right?
Yeah, and my team being one of them. They beat the hell out of the Florida teams. But
yeah, that's true. I didn't even think of that.
They literally have the Florida numbers. But no, it felt really good. Like, I felt like going into this game, I almost wanted to say I had no expectations to grab a point. Like, I felt like the Galaxy would just run us through, and I'm like, God, this is going to be a disaster. And then Orlando just defended really well, and that's what was really good. I mean, they're up there with the Union and goals allowed with 2. I mean, they've defended really well this year, and I needed to see that because last year,
how they started last year with Galese too.
Yep. And then he got hit. Yeah, and then he got hit in the today or the other day. So
yeah.
But yeah, no, it was great to see. I love seeing the defense step up just because we had struggled with that. Ruan played really well. AC and Janssen played really well. So that was really exciting to see. And I thought Joao looked probably the best he's looked since he's been hurt a couple of years ago. So yeah, they looked solid. Urso played well. Facundo Torres is a freak. I think it won't be long until somebody comes calling for him, just because of how good he is. But yeah, overall, I was really happy. And if we can go to Providence Park next and beat a Timbers team this weekend in Providence, then I'll be like sky high coming back for the LAFC game. So.
Well, we'll get to Portland, but I think they have a shot.
I do too. Yeah.
Probably game of the weekend here. Atlanta Montreal finishes 3-3. Joseph Martinez 6 minutes in. And Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium goes nuts. Then it goes Mihalovic in the 28th minute, Kone in the 37th, Kyoto, my boy Kyoto, in the 42nd minute. And it's 3-1 Montreal going into the half. Mercedes-Benz Stadium is quiet. Red card. Dom Dwyer, 67th minute. Almada in the 85th minute. I almost said Almeida like it's going to be
Matthias.
Yeah, out there playing. 85th minute for Almada to make it 3-2. Then Brooks Lennon with a rocket in the 90+2 minute to make it 3-3. Probably shouldn't have left it this late, Atlanta, but they somehow are able to get it. It's probably a very memorable game for everybody that was there. I mean, that type of comeback, right, has got to be amazing. I mean, Montreal actually dominated the shot 16-8 and 6-3 when it comes to shots on goal, but all of Atlanta's shots on goal go into the back of the net. 42,578 people saw this comeback live. This has got to be good for Atlanta's confidence here as they're up to 6th place with 7 points. Only 3 points off of the top. I mean, we're still very early in the season, but Montreal hasn't looked great. They've got 1 point. This was huge for them to come back here.
Yeah, the Almada goal was freakishly good. It might be goal of the year. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's amazing to see their new signing, their new boy coming in. But Jordan, I always feel like Atlanta lately has always been like the snake in the grass, like waiting to just kind of like bite when the time is necessary. Like they just kind of sit in these really weird positions in the table, and then all of a sudden you turn around and they're back up to like 3 or 4.
Yeah,
and you're going,
that's how it was last year. They were like right out of it for a bit, and then boom, make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't get the home game, which they needed to be able to move on last year, but just amazing.
Yeah, but their transition defense was awful, and Chris Smith was quick to point that out. Jordan, that the whole offside thing doesn't exist if you're playing on your half of the field and your defenders are going, oh hell,
yeah,
they're kind of looking over their shoulders like that's not good. Both of these guys are back behind us, and they're both on our side, so the ball just kind of rolls through, and then Mihalovic puts Guzan on skates. It's like, oh dear.
Yeah, we had to explain that to somebody that shared our video.
Yeah, because usually your defense isn't that bad, like to where they're just so completely out of positioning that they're like all the way across the field from one another. And there's big, wide, gaping hole.
And usually at that point, right? Because that was the Mihalovic goal, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So that is the second goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that the first? That's the first one.
Yeah, that's the first.
That's the first one. So it's 1-0. Atlanta does not need all of their players forward at 1-0. That's something that when you usually see that happen, it's because the other team is going for it. The other team is going for it because they're down. Like that probably could have happened after they had the red card and they're pressuring to try to get those last 2 goals. That probably could have happened then. But the fact that it happened when there was 11 people on the pitch and it's 1-0 to Atlanta is kind of unforgivable at that point. Because I've seen that play all the time, and people always ask, why is it not offsides? Because it's in that half. Usually that only happens when the other team is countering.
Yeah.
And usually the other team's countering because the other team has everybody forward trying to make a last push. And it's usually like usually those type of goals are like the ones that like put the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Like I've seen like that happen with it's not exactly like it, but it kind of reminds me of the Fernando Torres goal against Barcelona in 2012 in the Champions League when Chelsea won. So that's what it kind of reminds me of.
Chelsea's good at that. They also stuck it into City like that too. It's like both Laporte and I think Diaz were both out of position when who was it that got loose? Was it Abraham? I forget who it was, but
Well,
Havertz.
Havertz scored, right?
Yeah, maybe. Timo. I have no idea.
Chicago at Soldier Field, 3-1. Shabilko, former Union player, scores in the 30th minute. Shaqiri gets on the board with a penalty in the 50th minute. Kansas City pulls one back with Espinoza, and then Shabilko buries it in the 82nd minute to give Chicago some much-needed 3 points at home. That's going to put Chicago in a very good spot right now. They're in third place in the East. This is a team that we were down on, 11th place. But what did we say? We said that if everything works out great for the new coach,
they push the playoffs.
That they could push for the playoffs. And it's still early, so they might still drop a bit. But it's looking pretty good. And Shaqiri, putting one away with the penalty, he did what he needed to do. And Shabilko got his long contract that he wanted, his guaranteed contract, and he's, the years that he wanted, and he, puts 2 away to repay his team. So that's pretty good for Chicago. And Kansas City is at this point 12th place with 3 points. A lot of people were predicting that. We had them in second and third. So you know what? I'm not giving up yet. They can kind of rise from the ashes, I think. But it is more going on there than just that they don't have a striker, I feel. Right? Like when you look at all of what's going on in these games, it doesn't seem like it's just that they're missing their striker. I mean, the shots were pretty even with 10-7. Shots on goal were 3-2. So maybe they just needed some more shots, but giving up 3 goals is not usually the Kansas City way. I don't know. Might just be a down year for them this year. Charlotte, let's get to that. Charlotte 3-1. Huge game for Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium. I'm glad their first win was at home. I think that is really cool. They had 29,000 people there, which is good. They had their new signings for Swiderski, if I said that right. Swiderski,
yeah.
Scoring in the 6th minute and the 57th minute. That 57-minute goal, by the way, was 3 minutes after Carles Heel tied it up in the 54th minute with a penalty. So once it was 1-1, I was like, all right, here we go. And then you get Swiderski in the 57th minute, and then Baltimorean Ben Bender scoring in the 64th minute.
I'll tell you what, Jordan. Write down the name Ben Bender. I know you have him marked because he's a Baltimore guy, but the kid looks really good. And
I wrote it down.
Yeah, good. Thank you. I would forget, but 1, hell of a name. 2, the kid is just so talented. Like he almost, it reminds me of Brendan. Like he really does. I mean, it not just the hair. I think it's just the skill on the ball and how unfazed he is. Like he's got that like a little bit of Matthew Hoppe cockiness to him, where he's kind of like, this moment will never be too big for me. And the kid just came out of the super draft. He's 19 years old or something, 18, 19 years old. It's only a matter of time till that kid is on the radar for many of the teams. U.S. men's national team, I would not be shocked if the youth national team starts picking him up and taking him places, just because I do think he's got that ability. And I've been really impressed with him. He had an assist and a goal, and his goal was just solid. I don't know if you saw, it was a blast. He kind of just waited for New England to just kind of fizzle, and the keeper's going, and he just left foots one right into the top corner. It was beautiful. But yeah, mark down the name if those that are not marking it down haven't yet, just because I think the kid's got he's got the ability to be pretty special in this league. Should have him on, Jordan.
Yeah. Possession-wise, it favored New England. Shots favored New England. Shots on goal were even, but just Charlotte got the better of New England, and that's just part of the, I guess, Champions League curse right now. I don't know. But, that won't be a problem for them going forward because they blew it. Man, did they blow it. We haven't even got a chance to talk about that. They blew it. That's awful. They really just
sad.
blew that 3-0 lead. Real cocky about it too, with Bruce being like, "Well, we don't have to score; they have to." Well, maybe it could have helped if he had scored.
Bruce might be in some trouble here, man. They're not looking too good in the season either. So
He'll be fine.
I'll fire him. Let him coach the U.S. men's national team again.
He'll probably, if anything, I would see it more of a he retires at the end of this year or something.
Next Man City coach.
Yeah, there you go. Oh my God, they love him. All right, Minnesota 1, San Jose 0. Amaria in the 32nd minute. I was live. I was recording with Jack at this time, and we were just wrapping up one of our Disney podcasts. And for people that don't know, Jack is from the Final Third. He's a Minnesota fan. And when he actually scored, I was like, "Oh, who was it?" And he said Amaria. I was already teasing him about Amaria's finish rate, and I was like, "How many tries did it take him to get it in there?" He said 3. And I was like, "See, I'm not a big guy into thinking Amaria is gonna be enough for them." But San Jose had more possession. Minnesota had 13 shots to San Jose 6. San Jose had no shots on goal. They had no shots on goal against the Union too. I think that might be 2 to 3 games in a row or something for them with no shots on goal. Almeida needs to go. He's not happy there. I don't think GM is happy that he's there. I don't think anybody's happy that Almeida is there. So it's a bad marriage right now. They just gotta get the divorce, right?
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool to have Landon Donovan coach them. I think it'd be a blast.
Oh my God, they hate him though.
That's fine. Funny. Just pull him in. Funny. I don't know where else they would go from here. Like I'd probably internally, but I mean, it is Jordan. It's a disaster. I was going to make a joke about and only had 6 huff and puffs from Almeida on the sideline as he sat back in his chair going, "I could be anywhere else but here." It's brutal to watch him on the sideline. It is just demoralizing.
Minnesota sit 3rd right now with 8 points, right below LAFC and RSL, and right above Austin. Dallas beat Portland 4-1. Jesus Ferreira with a 36-minute hat trick, 26th minute, 30th minute, 36th minute, and Paul Arriola in the 77th minute. Both of them are going to be joining the U.S. men's national team. Nias Goda in the 61st minute for Portland. This game finishes almost 50-50 possession and almost 50-50 on shots, 14-12, edging out Dallas. But Ferreira just got it done. So all the people that were saying you can't play the false 9 like that, I don't know, I guess you can. But I don't know why, I think Dallas is going to be okay. They're up to 5th place right now. They were kind of a question mark team. I had them 10th. You had them 12th. They're kind of a question mark team of have they done enough to actually get it going? They actually had a lot of fans there. It was a great atmosphere for a team that usually doesn't draw well. So good result for all the fans there. Maybe that'll build some more fans to come out.
Yeah, that was the best atmosphere since I've been watching. I know when you sent the picture, I was shocked that was their stadium that they were all sitting in. But like you said, hey, if they keep going like this, I mean, I hope Jesus proves me wrong. But I've always just called him an okay, decent MLS player, and that's all he'll ever kind of amount to. Just because I don't know, he's never really shown it on the international stage for us. But hey, if it's an MLS player and he plays well and he gets a chance to go play somewhere else, then kudos to him. But yeah, this was impressive. And gosh, man, I mean, Portland looked awful too. There's a lot of teams that you're just kind of sitting here scratching your head this far into the season going, what? And they're all in the West. It's really strange. It seems like all the Western teams that we really thought were going to perform pretty well have really hit the ground hard and haven't run yet. So it'll be interesting to kind of see where they all fall in.
Houston versus Colorado was a Mark Anthony Kay goal for the Rapids in the 42nd minute and a Tyler Pasher goal in the 90th minute for Houston to finish 1-1. Houston sit 8th while Colorado sit 6th. So a good result for both teams. Honestly, Houston probably would have wanted to get, to actually get the the win, but not too bad. Any thoughts on these two teams?
No, again, I think teams that just Houston kind of played better than I thought they would play to start the season. Being up in 8th, but it's mostly just because their defense is held 3 goals allowed, which is pretty impressive for them. Now it's a matter of can they score goals, and I'm not sure that they can. So hold the phone on that one. But Rapids, I still feel like they're coming out of the malaise that was the CCL. So I don't know. They're kind of coming up out of it and getting back into form, but they haven't looked too sharp either.
All right. RSL beat Nashville 2-1. You had a Bobby Wood goal 2 minutes in. Walker Zimmerman in the 25th minute. Schmidt in the 54th to give RSL a victory. Dax McCarty with a red card in the 90+6. Nashville had more possession. They had more shots. They just couldn't really convert them. And after a hot start in the West, they currently sit 11th. Now only 2 points from a playoff spot and 3 points from the top 4. So again, it's really early. Try not to be reactionary here, but which I think people are just too reactionary nowadays.
Yeah.
You know what I saw after that Barcelona win yesterday?
That they're back?
I saw ESPN FC say,
"Is
Xavi one of the best managers in the world right now?" Whoa.
Yeah.
They still sit like 4th or 5th in La Liga. Like,
right.
Calm it down a bit. Let's not take everything at let's not change our perspectives every single game or every single big result. But I think ultimately they'll end up okay. Now their goal differential, a little worrisome right now, -2. They have 5 goals against, only scoring 3 right now. I think really their defense is okay as it stands. I don't think 5 is too bad when you look at teams like Vancouver, San Jose, Kansas City giving up 9 and 8, or even Portland giving up 7. But I think they need to just start scoring more. And I think they've had a really tough schedule to start out with, but really this game was winnable, I think. But RSL's been really good. So I'm not really sure where I land on this, but I think I land on Nashville will be okay, and that RSL probably shouldn't have put them 9th is where I'm kind of leaning at on these two teams.
Yeah, Nashville, we did talk about this at the beginning of the year. We talked about the fact that if Nashville's not getting goals from Hani Mukhtar, where do they turn? Because they don't have that prolific scorer, and that's where you and I talked about why they possibly couldn't be one of the top teams in the West, was the fact that they just don't – they never really have a proven scorer. Like CJ Sapong's good, but like not consistent enough. Like they need one of those, almost like a Joseph Martinez, Carlos Heel, Gustavo Buxa kind of scorer. Like it needs somebody that's going to throw up, 14, 15 goals. And I'm not sure Hani can do that consistently, just because I don't think that's the system they really play. They really rely on those wingers and the forward to get forward and score goals. But I just don't think that that's going to happen with them. I think if you're looking at a team like this, they really need somebody that's going to be a goal scorer. They need to go find one, because I'm not sure they have it.
All right. Red Bull New York tied Columbus. 84th minute, Barlow scored to give Red Bulls the lead. 90+5, Darlington Nagbe equalizes for the Crew. Austin equalized late against Seattle. Will Bruin scored in the 43rd minute. Diego Fagundes in the 70th minute to give Austin a victory. They're off to a good start this year, unfortunately, for our rankings and how we have them. And LAFC, Blackman scored for Vancouver really early on, 12th minute, but then Hollingshead in the 27th, Carlos Vela in the 38th, and Hollingshead in the 70th. We'll wrap up LAFC's win at home, and where that leaves us right now is in the East. Philadelphia Union with 10 points at top, Crew in second with 8, Chicago in third with 8, New York Red Bulls in fourth with 7, Orlando in fifth with 7, Atlanta in sixth with 7, DC in seventh with 6. Out of the playoff spot, Cincinnati in 8th, NYCFC in 9th, New England in 10th, Toronto in 11th, Charlotte in 12th, Montreal in 13th, and Miami in 14th. Over on the West, LAFC lead in the West. First place with 10 points. RSL in second with 10. Minnesota in third with 8. Austin in fourth with 7. Dallas, Colorado in fifth and sixth with 7 points. LA Galaxy in seventh with 6 points. Out of the playoff spots right now are Houston in 8th, Portland in 9th, Seattle in 10th, Nashville in 11th, SKC in 12th, San Jose in 13th, Vancouver in 14th, and 1, 2, 3, 4 of my top 7 teams in the West are out of the playoff spots. So we'll see how it goes there. MLS, can't predict it. Just cannot predict it. So let's take a look at real quickly at the matches coming up and then the US Open Cup.
It's time for the Match of the Week preview.
All right, Match of the Week preview. USA, Mexico, we already went over that. Saturday, though, on March 26th, is Charlotte versus Cincinnati on Unimas TUDN and Twitter at 5 o'clock on Saturday. SKC versus RSL at 7 at Children's Mercy Park. That's also on TUDN and Twitter. Then Sunday, March 27th, is Portland versus Orlando at 4. So by the time we'll be back on here, we'll be able to look ahead to the early April games. U.S. Open Cup. Let me pull up that schedule real quick before we head on out of here. Because those games happen this whole week, right? Isn't it like Tuesday and Wednesday? Here we go. So Tuesday, we have FC Motown versus Westchester United. That's a USL League 2 team versus an NPSL team. That's going to take place in New Jersey. That is on ESPN Plus at 7 o'clock. Cleveland SC versus Chicago FC United is going to take place at 7:15. That's on the U.S. Soccer Federation's YouTube page. Hartford City versus Oyster Bay United is going to take place at 7:30 on ESPN Plus. USSF YouTube is going to have the Villages SC versus Orlando FC Wolves. That's going to take place in Summerfield, Florida at 7:30. Also at 7:30 is Southern States SC Stars versus Georgia Revolution FC. That's going to be on the U.S. Soccer Federation YouTube. That's 7:30 Central Time, though, actually, so that's at 8:30. Then also at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN Plus is Denton Diablos versus Defenders Kicks Soccer Club, Texas. Look at these fun
Great names for those two.
I do. I really love these names.
Denton Diablos is great.
Wednesday, March 23rd on ESPN Plus at 7 p.m. It's the Ocean City Nor'easters versus Lansdowne Yonkers FC. I love that name. Lansdowne Yonkers FC. That's a cool name. Ocean City Nor'easters. I used to see them play a lot against the Baltimore Bows. That they were in the same division of the old USL PDL, which is now the USL League 2. 7 p.m. on the U.S. Soccer Federation YouTube is Lynchburg FC versus Nova FC. Both of those teams from Virginia. Then we have also on the U.S. Soccer YouTube at 7 o'clock, South Carolina United versus NC Fusion. Also at 7:30 on U.S. Soccer YouTube, Western Mass Pioneers versus Brockton FC. Then on ESPN Plus at 7:30, Miami United versus City Soccer FC. That's a Florida team. And ESPN Plus at 8 o'clock, Des Moines Menace versus Minneapolis City SC. So that is, Jack actually does a lot of work for Minneapolis City SC. So if people are interested in that, you can watch it on ESPN Plus. If you're in the Minnesota area, check out their YouTube, their Twitter account. U.S. Soccer YouTube at 8 o'clock has Tulsa Athletic versus Azteca FC. U.S. Soccer YouTube at 2:45 p.m. Pacific. So that is 5:45. I don't know why this is why this is not listed before all those other games. San Fernando Valley FC versus Escondido FC. 10 o'clock Eastern time on U.S. Soccer YouTube is Portland Timbers U23 versus Contra Costa FC. And on ESPN Plus at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time is Las Vegas Legends FC versus Park City Red Wolves SC. Are you excited for following the U.S. Open Cup for the first time here?
Yeah, this is wild. I mean, it's just like FA Cup and things like that. I mean, you're getting to see teams that they'll be recording with iPhones and stuff for some of this action. So I don't know. It's really cool just to kind of see the teams in the villages that are playing. That's an Orlando team and a village team, which is one of the towns up north of us. So it's pretty cool just kind of see really small local clubs getting involved. And I mean, these are teams that are eventually, going to advance to the next round and play some of the bigger teams and some of the bigger teams. Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of, progresses into maybe USL playing some of the bigger teams. And I don't know, it's really cool. Like, it's like March Madness. So I'm always a big fan of, I'm going to be rooting for the underdogs. I don't care if they take out my team. So it'll be a lot of fun just to watch some of these cup games and some of these kids play some of these older guys that have been around the leagues for quite some time. So I'm excited to see what it's all about.
Yes, for early April is the next round where we'll have Pittsburgh Riverhounds versus Maryland Bobcats. That's pretty cool. That's like a Steelers-Ravens matchup there. That's April 5th. Yeah, so we got some really Detroit City versus Michigan Stars, April 5th. We got some good matchups in the next round too. So the winner of Villages SC versus Orlando FC Wolves is going to go up against Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, the Rowdies are good.
They are. Yeah, that's fun. So for people who don't know, they try to keep these usually regionalized for a bit at least, and then it'll kind of probably balloon outward from there. I know that I went to an Orlando Philly U.S. Open Cup game before, and it was actually the round after the DC Orlando game I went to.
Yeah.
That got rained out for a bit and then, continued after like 2 hours of stoppage. But yeah, so I don't know. U.S. Open Cup is fun. I really enjoy it. I mean, obviously, we're not going to be able to get a chance to watch every single one of these games, right? It's just impossible. But I'm really eager to look at least some of that Villages SC versus Orlando FC Wolves. I think that's fun. Westchester United, Westchester is near where Joy went to school, so that's another fun one for me to check out.
Those killer names in Texas were awesome. The Denton Diablos.
Yes, Denton Diablos versus the Fetters Kicks. Yeah, that's really cool. Lots of good stuff. Ocean City versus Lansdowne Yonkers on Wednesday.
That's Yonkers.
That is so much fun. We'll talk about who moves on and stuff, and we'll take a look at it next time. Because next time we really talk about, we'll from there. Next week might be honor. We'll see if we if we're gonna make it or not by the time we record on Monday, because we would have had the Thursday, Sunday games. So one thing to get up our mood if it's down is the Open Cup that we can look at.
That's true.
All right. Well, let's start kicking back some. We're going for a night drive now. But yeah, so anything else, Logan, before we head out of here? Anything before you want to say before the U.S. kick off their game or these Open Cup games kick off or anything?
U.S. fans, just relax. All right, I know. I'm here to ease your pains as we get into the night drive. It needs to be calm. We need to put our faith in the LeBron James of soccer. All right, he is coming for you, El Tree. He's
asking U.S. Soccer to take down pictures of him on Instagram.
He wants you annihilated, El Tree. He is coming.
we'll see how it goes. If you want to give us a follow, we're on every social media platform pretty much with @Stateside Show. Check that out. I'm not going to list them all. All right. Well, that'll wrap us up here. We'll see you on the other side of 2 of these results. I'm so nervous, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's a good mood. Hopefully we're in a good mood next Monday. But if not, you probably know why. We'll
Jordan,
see you later.
If it doesn't go well, I've got 2 headlines for us. Ready?
Yeah.
Miles to go and done and dusted.
Those are awful, but we can definitely use those. We're going to use those.